Hey guys, it's me, Tantacles. This video is a complete guide to traps in Chrono Cross. In it, I'll cover general information, advanced tips, where to get them, and which enemies have the best trappable elements. I tried to make this guide as comprehensive as possible, but I'm sure I missed some things, so please leave a comment if you think there's something important that everyone needs to know. I will put some corrections in a pinned comment if necessary. Before I start though, I am trying to reach 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. When that happens, YouTube will start paying me to make gaming content. So please aeroblast that subscribe button and hit the like button if you want to see more Chrono Cross content. So in case you're unfamiliar with how traps work, here's a brief explanation. Every element or spell in Chrono Cross has a level from 1 to 8. Aqua Beam, for example, is level 1 and Deluge is level 5. The damage-dealing elements from level 1 to 4 can all be purchased in shops as you progress through the game, and the level 4 spells are actually quite powerful. However, the level 5 and 6 elements, along with the level 7 summon elements, are only available by trapping, and occasionally as drops from enemies or a random gift. Trap elements themselves are consumable elements, meaning that once you use a trap element, it disappears from your inventory and you have to buy more to replace it. However, because they're consumable, you can equip up to 5 trap elements in the same slot, meaning you can cast them several times in a single battle. And when you find an enemy that casts one of those special spells, it's often worthwhile to trap several of them to use for later, so this feature is quite convenient. When you cast a trap element, as I mentioned, it disappears from your inventory, and a trap indicator will appear showing you the color of the element you're trying to trap. You can only have one active trap at a time, and any traps you place while your current trap is active will replace the old trap. Traps also become deactivated when they trap their corresponding element, and they'll need to be recast if you want to capture another copy of the same element. Now, a couple of general tips and tricks. Some of them are also briefly mentioned in my Chrono Cross General Tips video, so I suggest you check that out if you haven't already. So first, many enemies that cast trappable elements will only do so if the field effect is all the color of that element. So if you're having trouble getting an enemy to cast Earthquake, for example, try changing the field color to all yellow with consumable elements or weak attack elements, and then just wait for the enemy to cast it. The same goes for any other color. Second, if you notice a boss or even a normal enemy casting a trappable element that you want but you don't have the appropriate trap equipped for it, you can just run away, equip the appropriate trap element, and try again. Third, enemies in Homeworld versus Another World are not the same. If you're having trouble getting an element from a particular enemy and it appears in both worlds, check to make sure you're in the correct world before you wait an hour for them to cast a particular element, only to have to do the entire battle again. And finally, sometimes the RNG makes enemies do weird things and they can be less consistent about casting their trappable element, so it's in your best interest to save before you go into a battle with an enemy that has an element you're trying to trap. That way you can just reload your save and try again without having to re-buy the trap element that you used. Okay, so now that we've talked about how trap elements work, let me show you where to get them. While there are some traps located in chests, the trap shop is in Marbule, the pink island in the southeast part of the map. It has all of the traps available in the game. The shop will be set up once you finish the Ghost Ship event. I recommend buying 2 traps for each of the level 5 and 6 elements and at least 1 trap for each of the summon elements. However, you do not need to buy Frog Prince, as you can get Frog Prince summoned for free, and Unicorn is kind of a crappy summon without any offensive potential, and you can honestly skip it altogether in my opinion. But you can buy a trap for it if completion matters to you. The level 7 summons are, in fact, particularly important to get because they're one of the earliest ways to get shiny materials to make rainbow weapons. Now, for the rest of this video, just keep in mind that there will be some minor and unavoidable spoilers because many of the enemies that give you trappable elements are later in the game. Also, this will not be a complete list as there are many elements that can be cast by multiple enemies, but I'll try to list out the easiest and earliest ones rather than making an exhaustive list. However, there's one special enemy that I need to talk about first, Cuscus. This enemy is in the Shadow Forest in both Homeworld and Another World. When you cast any element against Cuscus, it will retaliate back with that same element, provided it survives the attack. This is extremely useful once you have a copy of a level 5 or 6 element, as you can lay your trap and then attack Cuscus with the element you hope to trap. When it casts that element, you will capture it. Just keep in mind that you want the character casting the element to do the least amount of damage possible so that Cuscus survives. Froggo or Greiko are great choices, but there are plenty of characters in this game of every element that have crap magic stats. If you're still having trouble or you're trying to do this in New Game Plus, a diminish element can be used to prevent the Cuscus from dying. That will reduce all element damage by half. Sprig is also very useful in this circumstance. Sprig has the ability Doppelgang, which allows her to transform into enemies that she has defeated. If you have Sprig transform into an enemy that has an element you wish to trap, she can cast that element on Cuscus and it will immediately retaliate back, giving you that element in question. Now, there are two enemies that Sprig can doppelgang that are extremely useful. The first is Tragedy Ann in the Dead Sea. These monsters have access to Black Hole, Tornado, and Volcano. The second is Bulb, which has access to Carnivore, which is otherwise a little bit difficult to get. Now, if you don't want to spend a lot of time getting doppelgangs for Sprig, or you're just not a big fan of the Dark Forest, there are enemies just hanging out with the level 5 and 6 elements that you might want to trap. Again, keep in mind this isn't an exhaustive list, as there are a lot of options. So let's start with some enemies that require a little bit more strategy. Giant Gloop in Fort Dragonia casts Iceberg. Very few of your characters will have level 6 element slots at that point of the game, but Glenn, Lucia, or Mojo are reasonable options. Son of a Gun in Fort Dragonia is your first chance to get the Holy Light element. It only uses this element in its blank phase state, so just cast your trap element at the beginning of the battle and just wait. And of course, save beforehand so that you can reset if you run out of Holy Light traps. I would definitely recommend getting as many Holy Light elements as you can, as they're extremely valuable and can kill undead monsters in one hit. Bunyip in Fort Dragonia also has a couple of trappable elements. He has two phases, one in which he is red and one in which he is black. From the red version you can capture Inferno, and from the black version you can capture Freefall. Now, Inferno is available from a number of enemies, including as a drop, but Freefall is much more rare, so I would recommend that you at least trap 2 or 3 Freefalls from this monster. Mega Starkey on Skydragon Isle casts Ultra Nova when at low health. At least I think that's the trigger, as that's the only time he's cast it for me. However, make sure that you cast your Ultra Nova trap early in the battle, as one of Mega Starkey's techs causes anti-white, so you won't be able to cast it if that status effect is inflicted upon you. Of course, as usual, you can just run away from the battle if that happens anyway. The Sage of Marbule has a lot of different elements that you can trap, and he makes it very easy. He has Inferno, Deluge, Carnivore, Freefall, Thunderstorm, and Holy Light. To trap one of these elements, all that you need to do is cast the appropriate trap from the list of elements above and just use physical attacks. The Sage of Marbule will enter into an attack pattern and will ultimately cast the element you cast the trap for. You can run and repeat this process as many times as you want. I specifically recommend trapping multiple Holy Light and Thunderstorm elements from this fight, as this is the easiest enemy from which to get multiple copies. Tragedy Ann. Tragedy Ann can also be encountered as an enemy, and you can doppelgang to get their elements, as I mentioned before, but when you fight them, they will always broadcast exactly which element they're going to cast. So before you go to the Dead Sea, I would recommend making sure you have 4 to 5 Tornado, Volcano, and Black Hole traps. And also in the Dead Sea is Miguel, who casts Holy Light, and even if you already captured a bunch from the Sage of Marbule, you'll want to trap this element from him so it doesn't wreck you. Cast your trap element near the beginning of the battle, and you will not regret it. Dark Surge is another interesting one. He can cast all of the level 6 elements except Ultra Nova, but it's difficult to figure out which one he's going to use. I recommend casting a Black Hole trap at the beginning of the battle and just trying to take him out. I wouldn't bother trying to get all of the other level 6 elements from him. There are much easier ways to get them. However, if you're feeling sadomasochistic, they are there, so feel free. A few other notable mentions. Centorpede in the Hydra Marsh casts Earthquake when the field is yellow. Teuton Shaman casts Volcano when the field is red. Airframe in Homeworld casts Freefall. Again, not an exhaustive list, but enough that you should be able to get all of the level 5 and 6 elements without too much trouble. Now there's one more thing that we need to talk about, and that is the summon elements. The only way to get level 7 summons is to trap them, and there are very few enemies that use them. Frog Prince is actually pretty easy to obtain, the Water Dragon just gives it to you, but the other ones take a little more work. It's important to capture these summon spells, as defeating an enemy with a summon element will yield shiny materials which you can use to create rainbow weapons, the most powerful weapons in the game for most characters. Keep in mind that the field effect must be completely the color of the summon in order for the enemy to cast it. So cast your trap and then either use some consumable elements to make a change in the field effect, or defend and wait for the enemy to cast the summon. Mothership can be trapped from Shadowcats in Another World's Fossil Valley. Only the Shadowcat near the Big Egg will cast it, so don't bother trying to trap it from any of the other Shadowcats. Red Wolf can be captured from Hot Doggities in Mount Pyre. I suggest capturing these in Another World because Homeworld's Hot Doggity has a party restriction that will make it take a lot longer. Golem can be captured from Centaurpede in Another World's Hydra Marsh. Just keep in mind that sometimes they'll just use Earthquake once the field is yellow, and I'm not exactly sure why that happens, but I suggest using a Diminish element and keeping some capsules on hand for yellow element healing just in case. Sonya can be captured from Prey Mantis in Homeworld's Gaia's Navel. They're pretty consistent in casting it once the field is green, so cast your trap element early and just wait. And finally, Unicorn can be captured from the Dodo in Homeworld's Fossil Valley. This summon isn't necessary, but I admit I love a complete file, so if you want to capture it, cast your trap element and then bring the Dodo down to low health while the field is white. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Leave a comment if I missed anything, and please subscribe!